I was appointed to investigate a fire that had occurred in Essex. And part of my investigation will be to try and look at what happened that day, opposed to what happened the day before, because the day before they had no fire. I need to get that background information and any evidence or any information they may have that could help me. So my role is to find out how that fire started. Was it accidental or was it deliberate? If I split my career into two halves really, between the fire service side and this side, the part that I found the most upsetting within the public sector was obviously dealing with people that have been either injured or killed. The sadness that can be involved within fire. It takes no prisoners, it destroys everything. I like to think that at first it never bothered me, but eventually it starts to does, and it affects your mental health as well. And then coming into this side, dealing with this, I mean, in this role now, I don't deal with some more of that, but it has its own frustrations, and that is where you have the ability to call on all sorts of resources when you're in the public sector. In the insurance sector, you can't. I am just a fire investigator for the insurance company. It's a lot harder this side of the fence. In relation to the case in question in Essex was the fact that luckily we had CCTV footage of the event that night, albeit it was a distance and it was dark, but you could see a time frame and you could see something, ignition happening. So during the excavation, there was a few areas that were excavated. There was a party speaker, which could be also removed outside. This contained a lithium battery pack. I also found some plugs plugged into the wall, one of which may well have been used to plug in a vape. So if we looked at the microwave I could tell it hadn't been involved in the fire. But if that had been close or had been affected by some sort of heat, I would need to look to see if there'd been an electrical incentive fault. Now, by removing that plug from the wall, I can tell if it had been plugged in at the time of the fire. You'll have a protection mark. You'll also have the switch. If the switch had been off, I can put the switch in the on position and you'd see there'd be no sooting above. So it would have shown to me that switch had been switched off. So in this case, you had the smoke detector on the ceiling that had been affected by the heat. So as I said, the heat goes up the ceiling, so it was even really hot at the top of the room, and it's melted down. And we find that on the floor. Now the thing with a lot of smoke detectors these days, within them they have microchips, and we can take the microchip out of that. It can give us a time frame, a rate of rise, temperature, and gives us more information about when it started and when it cooled down. When you get a fire within a room, as the fire progresses and the smoke and the product's combustion go up into the ceiling, you get a superheated layer. The smoke then starts to push down, and believe it or not, that smoke that you get in your fires and all that is combustible as well. That's why it's so dangerous to firefighters for backdrafts and flashovers. But as that pushes down, it makes everything below pyrolyze. So it means that this table, carpet, all starts to gas off, vaporize, and then it flashes over. That's the flashover. So as that comes down, we get that layer called a neutral plane, and those marks can be seen on the walls. So you can obviously get a better idea of how high or how low that neutral plane. Was it a fully developed fire? Has everything flashed over? Has it just been contained in one area? Now the fire that I investigated in Essex hadn't fully flashed over. It wasn't a fully developed fire. It had happened, it had come down, and then for some reason it had gone out. And the reason that went out is it ran out of oxygen and starved itself.